Anyways, moving on, I mentioned last week that I was watching The Four Seasons, which was a new show on Netflix starring Will Forte, Tina Fey, and Steve Carrell. And anytime you mention Second City alums Tina Fey and Steve Carrell, well, I'm in. It really doesn't take a lot of convincing to watch the show. This TV series is 8 episodes long. They are about 34 minutes apiece, and it is simply brilliant. It is a remake of the 1981 Alan Alda film of the same name, The Four Seasons, and they bring it into the 21st century in such a smart and intelligent way. This series basically tracks 3 different couples, Kate and Jack, which are played by Tina Fey and Will Forte, Claude and I'm losing it right now. Nick and Anne, who are kind of a couple that are struggling through divorce, and Danny and Claude, who are in a relationship that is just getting smothered by Claude here in his entire relationship. And they basically go to each season, every 3 months, they go on vacation together. And one of the couples always dictates basically where they go. And you're brought into this dynamic between these 3 couples as a fly in the wall, watching one of the couples go through a midlife crisis. Nick, who's played by Steve Carell, is having a realization that he's not happy anymore with his current state of his marriage to Anne, and he decides to up and get a divorce. And he starts dating a very young, like a younger version of his own wife, someone who's like 20 years, Ginny, and takes them on vacation with the other couples as Anne is struggling to kind of deal with the ramifications of her divorce with Nick. Now, on paper, having me just gone through all that, it seems like this show would be very, very heavy. It is anything but. It is brilliantly written by Tina Fey. It is smartly written. It makes you not only feel like you're a fly on the wall, but it also is so intelligently written that it makes you think of dialogues that you've had with other people in your life because the dialogue is so realistic. They put the couples in situations. They make you feel awkwardness when awkward moments happen. They don't shy away from those moments. They deal with heavy things in very smart ways, but they deal with it in a very punchy way so that even when you are dealing with the heaviest moments of the show, that's usually punctuated with some sort of laugh that kind of makes you feel both emotions at once. And when you're watching shows like this, what else can you ask for but for the show to emotionally bring something out in you, or for you to start comparing relationships that you've had, friendships that you've had, conversations that you've had, and compare them and go, oh, I've had that kind of realization as well, and share that moment with the characters, whether it's about like getting older or not feeling like you're part of the young generation or what have you, or feeling like, two ships pass in the night or something like that, or communication failing, or getting into a fight with one of your friends. It tackles so much in 8 episodes, and it's so brilliantly done because they do it through those 3 couples and through the through the relationships that all 3 of them have with each other. Whether it's 2 best friends that like to confide in each other, you're in that moment with them, or whether it's a couple people within the vacation crew that can't seem to find any kind of level to bond. Specifically, I think Jack keeps on mentioning this this book that he's given Claude and to read, and Claude hasn't read it at all. So, but that's his only kind of way to socialize or anything like that. It is so well done. It is also very like I said before, it's based on the 1981 movie by Alan Alda, and they do a little bit of a allusion to him in the very, very beginning. You don't have to wait long for an Alan Alda cameo to happen. I ended up watching the movie after finishing the series, and the series was so profound that it made me want to go back and watch the original movie. And what I found when I watched the original movie was how many moments in the series is a direct allusion to something that happened in the movie. I mean, it's not one-to-one. They do a good job of bringing this movie into the 21st century and modernizing it, not only with the way that it's directed or the way that the cinematography is, but they do a better job fleshing out these characters from and preventing the characters from being very, very two-dimensional, right? Especially characters like Nick, who is going through a crisis, who divorces his wife for a younger girl. That relationship can be so two-dimensional if you allow it to be. But over the course of these 4 seasons, spring, summer, fall, winter, you start learning about these characters and about their flaws so much. Something that the movie, I feel like, couldn't do in the hour and a half that it had available to it. But there are so many things, whether it's the toast, whether it's some moments at the end, whether it's the way that the violins and the orchestration of the movie and the TV show. There's so many beats that afterwards you can just draw a direct line and go, wow, they were very faithful to the original source, but very smart about the things that they changed to not only make it more relatable, but more reflective of of the time that we live in, as opposed to late 70s, early 80s, whenever it was filmed back then. I also think they do a good job because they've separated it into a television series, and because they don't have to do, they don't have to smash this into 90 minutes or 2 hours. They do a very, very good job pushing character development throughout these 4 seasons. You are with these characters, and the show allows it, and the structure of it being a television show allows these characters to develop into almost different people. The people that you meet in episode 1 and the people that you meet in episode 8 are transformed. And that is the coolest arc ever. I really want to see a second season of this because the character chemistry and the character transformations were so fun to watch that you want more of it. But, things happen in the show that kind of make it hard to imagine what a season 2 would be like. But because of those transformations, because of those evolutions, not only within the couples themselves, but how the couples interact with everybody else is so dramatic from episode 1 to episode 8. And you really got to think about it. It only happens in, 4-ish hours. That's how smart and punchy the writing is. It doesn't necessarily also let you dwindle on a certain moment. Like, you don't get bored in the show. And there are very few TV shows that I feel like if I binge them, that there isn't a moment where you hit like an episode like The Fly in Breaking Bad where you're like, this is filler. None of it's filler. It is all strong throughout. I was reading some of the reviews and they were saying that it kind of falls flat. I couldn't disagree more with that assessment. I think they do a really, really good job keeping the momentum going, keeping the laughs happening. There's shocking moments when there's shocking moments, but they don't live long enough to, really, really getting, you're kind of on to the next thing before you kind of realize what kind of happened. So I think they just really cut this thing down to very well. They didn't let you get bored with any of the character dynamics. One of the very, very interesting parts of the show too is that they just basically they bring in they bring in the characters to so many different scenes and so many different situations, and because of the time lapse in between those seasons, they allow them to go different places. It has a very globe-trotting-esque feeling about it because you're picking up this character arc 3 months at a time, at different vacations. So in the beginning, you're at like a anniversary party. In the summer, you're at this beach vacation kind of gone wrong. In the fall, you're at an old college there where Jack and Kate met. And then in the winter, you are in kind of like a log cabin-esque kind of celebrating New Year's. It allows you to kind of feel like you've gone on a journey with these people. And that's the whole point, I think, of this thing, is not only to make you realize that friendships and relationships and stuff like that, and then people can fight with each other. People can lose the magic that they had, but their relationships still maintain intact. Because whether they have this realization of what's important, and they kind of do a really good job of explaining that like relationships can have these push and pull moments, but like at the end of the day, like the trailer says, you're with your soulmate. So you may have ups and may have downs, right? But this show really exemplifies that it's about the relationships, and it's not about some of the things that happen to you. It's about, how you deal with them and how you appreciate each other in this show. It really it's really profound, and it will rip your heart out at the very end when you watch this show. So that is the 4 seasons on Netflix, starring Tina Fey, written by Tina Fey, Steve Carrell, and Will Forte. And one last thing, sorry, before I go. Steve Carrell does such a good job. We mentioned this last week, but the characters that he chooses to play, especially after The Office, they're very complex, right? There was the movie where he was walking around with Keira Knightley because of the end of the world. There was John DuPont. There was all of these different characters. Whoever selects his scripts, whether it's him or his agent or whatever, he's always playing very complex characters. And with this one, I was kind of concerned because it seemed like a very two-dimensional character. He is a powerhouse. He is a powerhouse in this film. He makes you feel, even though you shouldn't feel for this character, for Nick in here, by the end, you feel for him. You feel for his transformation, that what he was loathing in the beginning, he sort of kind of becomes in the end, but he redeems himself. It's such a big journey with that character, even though he's doing things that are, not exactly, they're not maybe the greatest example, but he has his own choices, his own motivations, and Steve Carell plays them perfectly. I also think Tina Fey and Will Forte, they are kind of like the emotional arc of this film. They are the emotional anchor of this film, I should say. They not only kind of ground, Claude and Danny have a very dramatic kind of push and pull relationship, something that you've probably seen exemplified in other people that you might know. But you kind of are sticking with Jack and Kate, right? And their transformation is unbelievable as they start to deteriorate towards the end, and then other things happen. But what seemed like such a strong relationship, because they were all looking at one that was falling apart in Nick and Ann, they start to feel the flaws in their own relationship and their own deterioration as these seasons go through. And even though it sounds heavy, it's very profound. It's very funny, this show. And I think it should be given more props than it's actually getting, because it's such a faithful but transformative adaptation of that movie. It really brings that movie into the current generation, and it does such a good job. It's such a well-written television show. They have outrageous moments in it. They have laugh out loud moments in it. Go check it out. It is a great piece of television. 8 episodes long. It's not going to take you forever to get through this show, which is really important. And just a remarkable piece of television that I watched. So